In the sun-soaked village of Obeden, where red earth met golden palm trees and the air smelled of roasted maize, there lived a boy whose hands could turn silence into color. His name was Tunde Adeola, the first son of a humble palm wine tapper and a weaver of raffia mats. From the time he could hold a charcoal stick, he drew, on the walls of his mother's hut, on the ground after rain, even on the bodies of goats that wandered too close. The elders said he had the hands of the gods, but such hands, they warned, are a blessing only when guided by wisdom. Tunde's mother, Mama Sod, often told him, a child whose eyes see beyond the market square must learn to walk carefully. The wind can whisper both fortune and foolishness. And indeed, the wind loved Tunde. He painted it dancing through millet fields, curling through a maiden's hair, wrapping around drummers at festivals. People came from neighboring villages to watch him draw. When the annual Ayo festival of masks came, it was Tunde who painted the masquerades' faces so vividly that the crowd swore they glowed under the moon. Among the onlookers was Baba Ojo, the oldest man in Obeden, a bent elder whose eyes still glittered like a python's. He was the village griot, keeper of stories and secrets. One evening, after watching Tunde's brush move like wind over a calabash, Baba Ojo called him close. "My son," he said, his voice crackling like dry wood. "A gift from the gods is a debt to be repaid. The world will one day test your spirit. When your hand begins to hunger for gold instead of meaning, remember the saying of our fathers, he who forgets his story will sell himself for silver." Tunde laughed shyly, thinking the old man spoke in riddles. But Baba Ojo only smiled and tapped his staff 3 times on the ground, a sign that the spirits were listening. Not long after, the dry season brought strangers to Obeden, traders, travelers, and among them a smooth-tongued man named Connor the Lagos man. He arrived in a shiny car that raised dust all the way from the main road. His clothes smelled of foreign perfume, and his teeth flashed like new cowries. He carried with him a rolled canvas and spoke of art exhibitions, galleries, and big money. The villagers gathered around as he showed pictures of shining buildings and famous artists posing beside their works. When he saw Tunde's paintings drying under the mango tree, his smile widened like a crocodile's. "My boy," he said, "your talent does not belong in this village. Lagos is where you should be, where your name will shine, where your art will bring you riches. You paint for goats here, there you will paint for kings." Tunde's heart began to race. He had always dreamed of the city, the towers, the music, the crowds, the glory. But Mama Sod frowned deeply. "City men promise the moon but sell ashes," she warned. "Let him dream," Connor said smoothly. "Even the palm tree must leave its seed far from its root." Baba Ojo, who had been listening from a distance, spat on the ground. "Dreams can fly, but not all that flies has wings," he muttered. The next morning, Tunde rose before the cockcrow. He packed his brushes, his mother's woven mat, and the small carved mask Baba Ojo had given him, a protective charm of Eshu. "The trickster god who stands at the crossroads of destiny," Mama Sod wept quietly. "Go, my son," she said, pressing cowries into his palm. "But remember, when the city begins to sing, close your eyes and listen to the wind of home." Baba Ojo appeared as Tunde was leaving. "A journey that forgets its path," he said, "ends in circles." He placed his staff on Tunde's shoulder, whispering an incantation, "May your gift never forget the hands that shaped it." Connor honked impatiently. "Let's go, genius," he called, and so Tunde left Obeden, leaving behind the red earth, the palm groves, and the wisdom of his people. The road to Lagos stretched long and shimmering, lined with memories and the promise of fame. Lagos was nothing like the stories. The air throbbed with horns and shouts, billboards towered over rusted roofs, and the night glittered with promise. Connor lodged Tunde in a small apartment and introduced him to Madame Florence, a famous art dealer with eyes as sharp as a hawk's and jewelry that clinked like small bells when she moved. Madame Florence admired Tunde's work. "You paint like someone who has seen the spirit world," she said. "But we must polish your style. City people like shine, add gold, add women, add power." Tunde hesitated. "But I paint what I feel, the wind, the ancestors, the life of the land," Madame Florence laughed softly. Feeling doesn't sell, my dear. Desire does. Thus began Tunde's slow transformation. At first, he resisted. He painted village scenes, drummers, harvest festivals, but they sold slowly. Then Madame Florence suggested he paint what she called urban fantasy, wealthy men with spirits whispering in their ears, women made of smoke, gold dripping from the sky. When the first such painting sold for more than his father earned in 5 years, Tunde's hesitation melted like wax. Months passed. Tunde's name spread through Lagos. Magazines wrote about him, rich men competed for his works, photographers captured his smile at every gala. But the more famous he became, the more restless his spirit grew. He began to dream strange dreams. In one, a masked dancer chased him through an endless forest of mirrors. In another, Baba Ojo's voice echoed from the wind, whispering, "When the drumbeat quickens, the dancer must beware." Tunde awoke drenched in sweat, but he told no one. One evening, at a grand art exhibition, he stood beside Madame Florence and Connor as cameras flashed. His latest painting, The Feast of Shadows, depicted men eating at a golden table while invisible hands fed them blood-red wine. The audience gasped at its beauty, but when Tunde looked closely, he thought he saw the wine glisten too realistically, like fresh blood. He blinked, and it was gone. "Are you all right?" Madame Florence asked. "Just tired," he said, forcing a smile. Weeks later, on his way home from a party, Tunde passed a street corner where an old man sold carved masks. The man's eyes gleamed in the darkness. "Artist." The old man called. "Do you remember the mask of Eshu?" Tunde froze. "How do you know my name?" "The wind told me," said the man, grinning. "Your gift still speaks, but you no longer listen." Tunde looked closer. It was not Baba Ojo, yet something in the man's smile was eerily familiar. "Your paintings will soon weep," the man continued. "When color turns to blood, remember, the gods don't take kindly to being sold." Before Tunde could reply, a gust of wind scattered dust around him. When it cleared, the old man was gone. That night, Tunde dreamt again. He was back in Obeden, painting under the mango tree. But the paints turned dark, and faces from his canvases emerged, mocking, bleeding, whispering, "You sold us." He woke up screaming. His easel had fallen, and one of his canvases lay torn on the floor. On it, the paint near the eyes glistened wetly. Crimson, he touched it, and drew back his finger. It was warm. Kindly comment part 2, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share for more, and thank you for supporting my